My name is Umaru Sandamadu. My guest is Ekwow Spio-Garbrah. He served as Minister for Trade. You served for 4 years, right?
No, I wish I had. I only served for 2.
Oh, only 2 years. Okay. What did the John Mahama NDC government with Ekwow Spio-Garbrah, Minister for Trade, leave behind as a legacy for Ghana?
Well, it depends on how you define legacy, as usual. If you
like tangible legacies.
If you like to see tangible legacies,
yes.
You know of a 17th story building not far from the British Council, which is African Continental Free Trade Area.
Okay.
Today,
you built it?
It was built by John Mahama.
Oh, I see.
With my supervision, under my supervision. It was actually, the contract was signed before my time by my predecessor, Haruna Idrisu, who is now in Parliament.
Yes.
But the entire building, from ground floor top, was under the supervision of the Ministry of Trade and Industry with me as Minister. So if you're looking for tangible things, fine.
That's one.
But even more tangible, which people would not have known about or didn't, was the Made in Ghana campaign. You see, when you want Ghana to become less dependent on imports, everybody talks about, oh, there's too much imports. What are we going to do about that program of too many imports? There are 2 fundamental ways of doing it. You either reduce your imports or you promote your exports, to balance your trade. And we did both, but we had the Made in Ghana committee, which unfortunately the MPP disbanded as soon as they came into office for reasons I don't know. They have not really replaced it with anything else. There's a logo that we created. It's still being put on certain bottles, Bella Qua and other products. When you see them, you find a Made in Ghana logo,
seen that.
Which we wanted to popularize. So every manufacturer in Ghana, anybody who produces any product in Ghana, will put that logo on it. And when the product is going, especially outside the country, it will be identified as a Ghana-made product. It will increase the propensity of demand for Ghanaian products because of quality. But somehow people didn't understand it, and they've kept the logo.
So a deliberate way
the committee has been killed. We had the Brand Ghana Council. The Brand Ghana Council was not made out of NDC apparatchiks. In fact, they were professionals from the Public Relations Association, the Advertising Association, the Institute of the Journalists Organization, and such professionals who understood how to brand the whole country. We're starting with a branding program where the government of Ghana, even business cards, even if you have a government delegation, Ghana government delegation, made up of 16 people going anywhere, and they give their cards to their opponents or their counterparts. From Germany or Japan, and you look at their cards they leave with you, you will know that the country is not properly branded, properly organized. And with all due respect, our interlocutors who understand branding and so forth, they take it for granted. You would just say your delegation is not very well organized, among other things. You've seen probably photographs of African delegations sitting maybe against a Chinese or some other delegation, and you find that the African delegations are not writing anything. They don't have any documents with them.
They're not taking notes.
They're not taking notes. And then the
Chinese that Brand Ghana office was dead, wasn't it?
Not when I was there. We revived it. I mean, the leader or the CEO died, unfortunately.
Yes,
but in spite of that, we kept it alive, even though we didn't have much funding to really kick off and do the wonderful things that.
So you can remember the after building, you can remember Brand Ghana.
Yeah, but then but the other things stayed in place. National Board for Small Scale Industries, which has been revived and been given funds that we never had because of COVID, and apparently claims to have given hundreds of thousands of CDs.
So that's NDSSI.
NDSSI has been in existence from the 1960s. It wasn't created by NDC, and certainly wasn't created by MPP. And so, depending on what funds you give it, it can disburse or it can not disburse. If the government gives it funds, fine. It was under my time that we had we translated or transferred the clearance of goods at the port. All this issue of digital migration, etc. Single window started during our time with West Blue. West Blue was contracted while I was Minister for Trade and Industry, but it was under the Ministry of Finance because Ghana Revenue Authority comes under the Ministry of Finance. So, but it was to allow for clearance of goods with GCNet doing the work in the background. So these are things that are not so visible to the eye, but allows for smooth sailing clearance of goods. You talk to the goods, we had to go to a port at one time. I think you showed our appearance at the port, where there was chaos and clamoring for the past.
Your
People
ministry,
wanted the past to come back.
Your ministry is trade and industry.
Yeah.
On the industry side of things, factories will come in handy.
Of
the
course.
factory that we remember is a
Commander sugar factory,
which was not producing.
No. You produce sugar. If it wasn't in your presence, then in the presence of a team from
No, I
Citi
remember,
Bank.
but it stopped after because we are told by the government that the whole contractual agreement with the outgrowers was a problematic.
What has NPP government not found fault with? Is there anything that NDC did that they didn't find fault with? First of all, they sacked everybody from almost. You see, in the past, when a government changes hands, the political appointees are the ones that understand they have to go. So in places like Cocoa Board, places like SNET, and other public agencies, they go down, and the NPP have gone down to 2-3 levels, director level, to replace people just to put their apparatchiks there. So this is one of the issues of bad governance that NPP has introduced into Ghana's politics, so that anytime there's a change in government, now you have a mass migration and a loss of institutional memory. All those who have knowledge that have been accumulated for 30, 40 years, or 20, 30 years, let's say, will not be there. And you find people coming in to do the kind of dastardly things that you've been able to see, public procurement agency, so many agencies that Temawe refinery, bust, all kinds of scandals that are going on because they have not allowed those who could stay and allow for better governance to do their work. The Domelevos have been asked to go away. The Matramidus have been asked to go away. So this has really affected the overall good governance. But to come back to Ministry of Trade and Industry, there are a number of agencies under the Ministry of Trade and Industry, under all governments. The Ghana Trade Fair Authority was there. They did their normal work of promoting various trade shows. Ghana Export Promotion Agency was there. It was doing promotion of Ghana's exports globally, internationally, and it is actually now housed in the export house, as we call it, which is the structure, that 17-story building I was telling you about, that was put up under Muhammad, that the African Continental Free Trade Area has now been housed in.
Okay.
So the ministry and the government was so foresighted that we could even foresee the need for a place for the African Continental Free Trade Area.
So some of these things you mentioned, some are tangible, some are intangible.
Very
but
true.
How do they match against physical, tangible factories that the Akufo-Addo government promised and is delivering? They've promised warehouses in each district, they promised factories in each district, and they're delivering these. And these are tangible physicals that people can see. How do you really match
the Ghana Commodity Exchange?
They have the Ekumfi juice factory that they
Ghana
have.
Commodity Exchange was established under us, and they also took it and are doing what they can with it. The difference is in branding, and I've said that on so many platforms. NDC did not brand most of what we're doing in a way that NPP has branded their one this, one that, one this, one that, one this, one that.
For a party that introduced the brand Ghana office or revamped the brand Ghana office, you should have been doing, you should have done a proper branding, and you have people, communicators like yourself.
But I told you that the brand Ghana office was established. We're doing branding, and we started with the logo. You see, if you're a marketer, the first thing is, what is the logo of your organization? Before you can even start marketing the products.
Right.
So we started with the logo. The logo was accepted. It took a long time to have it accepted. It took legislation even to put it in place. And then to market it to the business community to know that this is what we can do.
Upon hindsight, you think there was a failure in your government?
I was there for 2 years, remember?
Yeah, I mean, upon hindsight, you think that your government perhaps failed in telling people what you were doing.
Oh, yes. I've said that even in comparing our 1996, not 2000 election, 1996 election situation to NPPs. I've admitted that on many platforms that NDC didn't do as well a job of branding. But sometimes branding can also be misbranding. You see, you can brand it to the point where, with all due respect, people are asking you for 5,000 dams that you claimed you were building. And if you go to the north, they can't even find 100 dams. Yeah, but you as a television anchor, with due respect, I'm sure you can't find 3 working dams. 3 out of the 5,000 that was supposed.
No, my team has gone out.
How many dams have you found?
I cannot mention.
The dams that was with all the chiefs came out. When your TV crew goes out, the chiefs also come out and point out angrily what has been left by a contractor and so forth,
yeah,
and
but
then they go away.
3 is too.
But have you heard even MPP boasting about the names of the 3 dams or 5 dams that anybody knows about?
They have said that they had some that were mechanized, some at various levels.
So I'm trying to point out the dangers of branding and therefore misbranding.
But you see,
one district, one factory. Now you have over 200 districts, and yet you don't have more than 50 factories. So you are struggling.
But at least for the industrialization, that's a huge leap.
But these are companies that existed already. I mean, these are Sunda and Chinese companies, Indian companies. You just take your brand and go and put on them. The man owns his own factory. These are some don't even have any state intervention. And the Ghana Export Promotion, Ghana Exim Bank, which was the Export Development and Agricultural Investment Fund, we gave so many loans and other grants and support to the industrial sector. As I'm admitting, we did not brand them as one this or one that. But if you have the pharmaceutical companies of Ghana, I don't want to mention the names.
You gave them 10 million.
Yeah, not only as one company. Not the. I mean, the pharmaceutical companies of Ghana got more than $10 million.
You see, but
dollars or cedis.
This government will tell you that they promised to do one district, one factory on PPP levels, and that they have given technical support.
That now they're explaining all that. But I'm saying, when you go back in 2016, if you're a voter in 2016, listening to the MPP promises at that time,
you didn't have
they
those
didn't
details.
talk about, they didn't talk about PPP. They didn't talk about this. They talk about one district, one factory. We shall have a factory in every district. That's how Ghanaians wanted it. That's why they were expecting it. That's why they are disappointed in most cases. And that's why they are going to vote against most MPP people in the districts.
We have the Ekwow Jews. I see it in traffic. I see it in
where they have succeeded, of course.
Is it Kassad there?
Where they have succeeded, you have to give them credit for where they have succeeded. But in most cases, they have not succeeded. In most cases, the places that they claim factories were supposed to be blank land.
VW is assembling vehicles.
I was there. I was yesterday night at a function at VW. So I appreciate the VW plans that have been established. These were ideas. We had an automotive policy. It began during my time.
Okay.
We began with an automotive policy.
You began the VW thing?
Not VW.
Okay.
We would talk to companies that were interested in establishing factories in Ghana. VW, I didn't talk to them, but obviously they came at a different point. But companies don't come and establish factories overnight in any country. They look at the economic fundamentals. They look at a number of things that will be to their advantage. And of course, they expect legislation that will be favorable to them. So under my ministry, we had a lot of studies, a lot of programs to look at options. And we had about 16 priority sectors, which are still both part of our manifesto going into 2020, which will, and of course, automotive sector is part of it, financial services, agro sector, and so forth, pharmaceutical.
But they'll point to these things and they'll drown your campaign. They'll say to Ghanaians that there you have a VW assembly plant, you have ABCD companies, and so they have physical, tangible things that they promise and they have delivered, and they say that their progress has to be protected. You don't have one to point to.
No, that's not true.
You didn't bring a single
We don't have one. We don't have any enterprises to talk to.
You do, but you don't have them branded like you have already admitted, so it's difficult for you to point to them and say. So you are now found to be fighting.
We are talking about industry. If it's industrialization, we have an industrialization policy. We have an industrialization agenda. We have plans for even tax reductions for small businesses of all kinds. Companies that employ 20 people or more. Companies that are startups, give them all kinds of write-offs and tax incentives of various kinds. So we have a program and policies that are intended to drive the economic agenda of the country. We had a tree crop plan as well, even before they established the tree crop program under this government. So yes, different communities will see what has been done under Mahama and under the NDC, under my ministry, but it's not really a ministerial matter. I mean, Ghanaians are going to look at the overall broad development that took place under both governments, and they will vote accordingly.